Will I get invited? I'm already deep inside it. I can't shake it, I can't hide it. I am the outsider. No reason to get excited. We don't have to be so divided. I can't shake it, I can't hide it.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Swansonville. I am Joe Finley.
And I'm Angie Finley.
And
we are
the Swansons. This
That's
is
right.
our podcast, episode number 8. Can you believe that, Ange? 8 episode.
That's right. Welcome to Swansonville Podcast.
Swansonville Podcast.
A place where, we talk about life, our journey through music, and just like everything and people we meet. And we're going to have fun interviews with a special guest.
Sure, sort of like
every day.
an inside look at what we do in our lives, in our music, and
that's right. And for many of you who don't know, Joe here is a songwriter, and we're an independent, alternative country rock and
that's
roll
right.
band.
We're an alternative country band. You can find our music at theswansonsmusic.com. Little plug there. While we're plugging, let me get a little drink out of the. This is a very popular
item
here,
the coffee
Swanson's
mug.
coffee mug. A little overindulgent in the intro here, but
I feel like we should always start off because
Let me get a little
sometimes people might be tuning in for the first time on episode 7 and might want to take them back and say, hey, you know what? I need to go back to episode 1.
this is episode
and
8
listen to
coming up.
Oh, yeah,
we're
episode
in
8.
episode
Oh, my
8.
God.
We've been very, very busy with this program.
That's right. So busy. And we're so busy with the music.
We've had so many special guests, and we'll continue to call them our mystery guests coming
That's
up
right,
so that
yes.
we don't give away the excitement of who that guest might be on any given week. This week we have a fabulous guest. That's going to be great and wonderful. We have had a very busy week, and we hope that you all have had a wonderful week yourselves with whatever you do in your lives. And so that being said, we have had a lot of fun playing music and traveling around
That's right.
doing things. We ended up playing a show at the Troubadour in West Hollywood.
That's right. Changing it up because we always play at the Whiskey so frequently.
That is correct.
It was nice to get at another very famous, iconic club called the Troubadour.
The Troubadour has been around forever and ever and ever, and everybody who's anybody in this business has played on that stage, just like the Whiskey, and it has
That's
that
right.
same kind of ambience and feel. Let's talk about our journey. Another thing that our fans don't get to witness, very few people do, other than the people involved in Team Swansons, is getting from point A to point B. So we got the show at
the lead up through the whole day, like even before we start even getting ready for the show. I mean, we're parents, so we have a child, we have other responsibilities to take care of before we even start, the hair and makeup and everything.
all
right?
the fancy schmancy stuff.
That's right.
Yeah,
But
so-
it's not always glitz and glam, is it?
No, it's not. It's not. Very much of it is not. It's a passion-driven journey, and so we take it upon ourselves to take care of a lot of the details of our jobs.
That's right. And even though we're excited for the show, I feel like anything can be disruptive for that day. So it doesn't always, even though I'm excited for the show, I'm always in like a little bit of a funk, aren't you?
I try to honestly stay very, very focused on the show, so I don't really allow myself to enter into too many distractions. You know what I mean?
I have to learn that still. I feel like I let the day get the best of me, throughout that particular day, where I'm like, I feel like the day has to go perfect, and it never does. And then it's just like, well, just keep your mind on the performance tonight. And
well, this show is, a big show. We were opening for a number of famous bands from the 80s.
The 80s, right? Because the whole gig was called Back to the 80s. That's what the show was.
Back to the 80s. So this show at the Troubadour was quite interesting because we were the only original act opening
That's
for
right.
an 80s, a whole slew of great bands from the 80s
That's
era.
right, yeah. The most known one was Missing Persons.
Missing
I'd
Persons
say.
was headlining the show, along with who else was on the bill? Bow Wow Wow.
Yeah, it was Annabelle's Bow Wow Wow. Jezebel.
Gene Loves Jezebel.
Gene Loves Jezebel. And Trans X.
Trans X and Missing Persons.
Right.
Along with us, the Swansons.
Yeah, I was going to say, with the Trans X, so we weren't that familiar, but I swear when I heard him performing, that I was familiar with the music.
Right.
You know, from that.
And the fans of this particular night, this back to the 80s night,
Yeah.
were there to see these
All of
bands.
that.
Yeah,
Right,
specifically.
yeah, they knew all of
And
that.
so we were the big surprise of the evening. So that was a lot of fun. But before we got there, we had to get ready to get there. And that was quite a journey. As like you said, every show that we do, it's all about the journey, right? Everybody says it's all about the journey, not the destination. And in this particular journey, we had a lot of things that needed to get done, and a lot of things that stood in our way along the way, right? There's always those obstacles that we need to overcome in our lives, all of us as human beings.
Yeah, and this one particularly, I was totally in a funk that day. And it wasn't that anything particular, I didn't get in a car accident, nothing happened like that. But I was just in a funk all day. I don't know what. But so when we were getting ready for the show and getting in the car, I was like trying to get my head right, weren't you? For the drive. Because it's an hour drive to the club.
Yeah, normally that's what we do. I want to begin by explaining the fact that we, for the first several years of our careers, we did everything ourselves. So we packed the car ourselves, we drove ourselves.
I would drive.
We were the roadies, we were the drivers, we were the everything.
Pull up, get
we're
the gear off,
management,
park the car,
right.
Get to the club, check in, just no one's helping us, and that's fine. But thankfully now,
we've been able to build a team over the years, right?
That's right.
And the team continues to build, and thank you all for helping us along the way.
Right.
But in this particular case, we have some people helping with equipment and helping driving. So driving our vehicle, our SUV, while we're in the back, and the equipment is with us.
Right.
So Alfred is our
man.
Driver. Alfred's our guy.
Alfred's our man. He's
Alfred is our man.
Friend of the family for many years and an excellent limo driver. But he drives our SUV, gets us there safely, and helps us with
And
our
Alfred,
gear.
now you keep in mind, Alfred is a professional. He's a professional driver. So our lives are in wonderful hands, right, of a professional driver. So we have Alfred driving us to the show, and we're doing our typical thing in the back seat. Normally we're listening to music at a higher level. For some reason or another, the music isn't. Alfred's controlling the music in the front. He's having a conversation with Patrick, who is helping with the equipment.
And Vic was in the car.
I forgot about Vic.
He rode with us there.
He was in the back. Yeah, he was packed up like a sardine in the back with the equipment. I totally forgot all about that. So yeah, we were fully packed, ready to go.
We had a full car. We had Patrick helping us, Rhodey, Alfred, me and Joe, and Vic in the car, all in an SUV with a bunch of gear. Heading to the show.
In West Hollywood.
The music is down. People are talking. And all I was thinking in my head was, for the love of God, be quiet.
Please stop talking and let us listen to the music. But that was cool. That wasn't the problem, really. I think the conversation was magnified by the circumstance whereby we were on a freeway that was lock jammed, and our ETA had just gone out by about 25 minutes. We had an on-stage load-in time at 7 o'clock sharp, and we were already looking at an ETA of 7:25. So being in the traffic to begin with was troublesome, and then along with the conversation and everything else.
In Southern California, the traffic is bad, but for some reason, if there's a bunch of accidents, it's even worse. And that's what was happening. I felt like there was a bunch of, because we weren't the only ones that were late. Our bass player was late.
Well, we got a phone call, right? So we got a text. I got a text from our bass player asking what our ETA was.
Right.
Estimated time of arrival, for those of you who don't know what that means, ETA. Figured I would just say that. A lot of people just say things like that and don't understand what they're actually saying. ETA, estimated time of arrival. So Joe Alfaro, our bass player, calls and says that he's about as late as we are, looking at about 25 to 30 minute delay. And so we're a bit more concerned at this point because we're not the only ones arriving late. We need somebody there to represent the Swansons, right?
Right.
So who's there?
Well, the drummer was there and the fiddle player was there. So people were there before us, our band. But the drummer needed to have his stuff picked up. But the point was that we were running late. We're in the car. We're stressed out. We're like, get there. I have to go to the bathroom now, but there's no stopping. Oh no, I'm holding it. I'm getting in the club because we can't afford now one more minute late, right?
Oh, so you and I are both.
We gotta go to the bathroom.
Let's not misunderstand. Yeah, we're both holding it. We're holding it bad.
So we gotta go.
Yeah.
So we're getting closer to the club, and all of a sudden, I see Alfred. He's like kind of not. I don't know. He's like following my direction. All of a sudden, I don't know because I was like, go this way. He started following my direction. Regardless of the fact when we started getting closer and closer, I was like, just follow the turns on your phone. And he did one stupid turn. And anyways, then he missed 2 turns after that. And I saw it on the GPS. I could see the missed turns. And, I could see it. And I had to go to the bathroom so bad. I was so mad. I was like, you missed the turn. You missed the turn. So then he had to go all the way out. And then we were on the other side of the street. So we had to do a U-turn.
Stage manager had contacted us during this time period
and said, "Where are you?"
And we told him, 5 minutes. We're like 5 minutes out, which was comforting to him. And we knew that Cotaway, our drummer, was there. Most importantly, because he's got the most stuff to set up.
Drums, right.
Our fiddle player had already arrived, so they were just waiting on us to get there. And so we did. We made the U-turn, turned the car around, and there's a load-in area right there.
Mind you, illegally. Hold on.
Go ahead.
We didn't just make the U-turn. The light was not green.
Oh, that's right. What was the red light?
The light was red, but it was so in such an urgency because I was yelling in the back.
So Angie inducing the law breaking.
Right, because I was yelling at him, so he felt the need.
I was praying, just so our audience knows, I was not participating in any kind of yelling or this anxiety.
You were silent.
I was praying, as I normally do, and watching this thing kind of unfold. So I had forgotten the illegal red light U-turn. I blocked that out in my mind. So we broke the law there, jeopardized our lives. Let me reiterate, Alfred is a professional driver. So we get to the curb, and there's a loading. It's a yellow loading curb area for maybe 2 cars could fit there. There was already a car sitting there, right? And so we had the front area available to us. However, there was an SUV that was kind of blocking the right-hand turn lane, where there was maybe a few inches to get by them. We could have waited till the light turned green and that car pulled ahead.
You kept telling him. You kept saying, just wait, just wait, and the light's about to turn green.
Yeah, just wait, be patient.
But he insisted.
He asked Patrick, is it okay on that side?
Can I clear the car?
Can I clear the car?
Right, because he's pulling in like this. So when he pulls in...
So he jerks the car in, clears the car.
Barely, and then all of a sudden throws it in reverse like he's going to go 2 car lengths back when he just got
he's got it. He was so proud of the make that he made the turn, that he made the little squeak in, that he put it in reverse and didn't realize that there was a car right behind us. Boom!
That was the car that we were just getting around. So the fact that you didn't realize that it was right there. Anyways, regardless of the fact that if you're watching Alfred...
So Alfred went around the car to get us to the curb 4 seconds earlier and hit the car that had just unloaded.
But barely, because I knew it was there and I yelled.
You snoo. You said I snoo. I snoo it was there.
I just snoo it.
She just snoo it.
No, I literally, when he pulled up, as soon as he threw in a reverse, he was going back so fast and so much.
Right.
I go, there's a car back there. I go, there's a car. I could see it in the rear of her camera. He said he didn't see it in the rear of the camera because we were so close to it. That's why.
He went even further to say that he didn't hit it. So Angie said, Alfred, you just hit the car behind us. Alfred responded, no, I didn't.
Alfred, I'm like, yes,
Angie said, pull forward. You hit the car. Alfred pulled forward. Angie immediately, in fact, I didn't see Angie. It was like magic. She was out of the car and gone. It's like, whoa. And as I'm exiting the car, she went in to go to the bathroom. She had to go so bad. So she's in the club. I'm getting out of the car, and I hear this guy that's very upset that his car had just gotten hit by Alfred, the professional driver. And Alfred's response was, I don't even see anything wrong with it. At which point
luckily, he handled it, because I'm going to the bathroom thinking, please don't ask for my insurance when we come out to the car.
So I get out the car and hear this little, this little commotion with Alfred and the person that he just hit, and I zoom off to the bathroom as well. Again, in a state of prayer, right? And I literally have my hands folded and everything.
Me too.
Yeah, I'm praying in the bathroom, praying a little more that this whole thing resolves itself.
Right, that he can talk his way out of it. Because I don't want to have to be the one to because honestly, I was like, if he asks for insurance, then I'm going to have to step in and start talking.
Right.
To try to avoid the situation. Because I know that we hit it, but we didn't hit it though. I mean, there wasn't a dent.
Long story short, everything was fine.
High five.
High five.
Woo!
So we get everything's getting loaded in, coming up on stage for us, getting in place.
We're in a hurry.
We're in a hurry, but we got time.
Well, they were like, oh, well, we have a minute before doors.
Doors open. So there's a line. There's a line out. Excuse me.
No bass player. Get a drink. By the way.
The bass player has not yet arrived. We've already line checked.
And then they were like, okay, you guys can get off because we're going to open doors now, so you guys have to be done, and we'll get another line check before you go on at 8:15, right?
So between the doors opening and our
call time, 8:15.
Our call time is 8:15, so we've got 15 minutes, but between people coming in the door and us
Joe walked in about 8 o'clock, right?
And our bass player walks in at 8 o'clock, so... and we get to watch these people filing in.
Yes.
And the club is filling up fast. It's filling up fast.
Right, and I was happy to see that because that's usually the case at the Troubadour. You know, if people are going there to see a show, they're going to be there. If the doors say 7, they're going to be there. They know that they have great acts opening up, like the Swansons.
That's right. Feel some? Is that the right harmonica?
A?
Yeah, that's right. You're just not feeling it there.
Gotta get the right sound out of it. You know, one time when I was boofing on one of these, I was like, this don't sound right. Oh, it was when we were doing the New Year's Eve performance we did a private party. And you want to know what? There was a quarter
stuck in it. Yeah,
stuck in it, and it did not sound right. I was like, something's wrong. And then I found the quarter.
The 90s, it was insane. It was kind of this who's who. It was the first thing I remember working on that I think went pretty big was a Restless Heart record that did really well. And I worked with Bob Seger, the Indigo Girls, Jewel, Patti Loveless, George Jones, Johnny Cash, Keith Urban, Clint Black.
I am the outsider.
But anyway, sorry to interrupt, and just
No
want to
worries.
say
So-
we were happy that people coming in,
Yeah,
lots
we're on the
of people.
side. Yeah, so people
and just
are
said within
filing
15 minutes, there must have been 40 to 50 people standing there.
The
ready.
Introduction comes for the Swansons, right?
That's right. We take the stage.
And the place is packed right
Yeah.
up to the front of the
We're
stage, all the way up
excited.
in the balcony area. And off we go with Country This, which is a track off of our title album.
That's right.
Title
Yeah.
track. And the fans were so receptive, they became fans of the
Swansons.
And of course we had the show covered with our wonderful videographer Vic, who stood amongst the masses and got some good shots and some good photos, and we had just a really great time. It really went well. And thanks again to all the fans, all the people that were out there in West Hollywood. We met some of them, took pictures with people. Ralph, I remember, was a guy that we met.
Yeah,
real
that's
fun
right.
guy.
And people told us after when we were making our way through the club, and then that was when we really got to meet some people, take some photos with the fans.
That's right.
And it was just good. That's the goal, is to kind of have people who don't know us
That's it.
and like us.
We're out there
And
trying to make new fans,
that's
right,
right.
with new people. So
New fans,
it's very
and-
important to
and
us,
it
you guys.
worked.
If you come out and see us, which you should,
Right.
If we're anywhere around you, come see our show, and we'd love to meet you. That's something that we really enjoy
and we love
doing.
to perform.
Well, yeah, we love to
We're
perform. We love to meet
performers.
the people afterwards. You know, that's something that's very, very a big part of what we do is actually meeting the fans. You know, so come out and see a show and hang out afterwards, and we'll come out and meet and greet you and our way of showing our appreciation for you all coming out and seeing us.
And you never know what you might get, because sometimes I have a little bag of goodies.
That's right.
Goodies. I might have a little bag of goodies.
You almost always have it. Well, you always have a little bag.
Yeah, that's right. And so we hand out stuff for free sometimes, and we have this really cool thing. We have a lyric book.
That's right, we do.
And it's just such a really cool thing, because not only does it have the lyrics to the song inside, but it also has pictures and fun facts about me and Joe and the Swansons.
That's right. Very informative little booklet. And, well, you know,
Let's
it's
read
actually...
something out of here.
Read a little something, Ange, a little trivia. What do you got for us?
Okay.
What do you got for us? You got something special?
Yes. It said, I opened right up to the one, and it said, Joe Finley of the Swansons began playing the guitar at age 7 and started writing songs as a young teenager.
Yay!
See? You wouldn't know that unless you read the lyric book.
That's right. So there's a little trivia.
So we encourage you,
little fun fact.
If you're somewhere in the world and you're going to be visiting Los Angeles, look up the Swansonsmusic.com. Come see a show. We'd love to get a picture with you. And then also, if you're around the area, if you're somewhere in Southern California and we're playing near a place that you can go, you can always hit us up at theswansonsmusic.com.
That's right.
And we'd love to have you there.
Love having you here in Swansonville.
That's right. Thanks for tuning in.
And speaking of Swansonville, we just made a new video for a song that's upcoming.
Yeah. On the new album.
Our new album.
Bam!
So y'all get a hold of that soon.
I know. The promos are coming now, y'all. Yeah. So you're gonna start hearing
a
lot about
for Bam sometime in the spring. But we're starting to develop some material for our live shows from Bam.
Yeah. Not only that is I think we're gonna come up with a strategy where we're gonna be releasing some videos.
That's right. We are.
And for when we release the song. So this song particularly was Helping Hand.
Helping Hand.
Yeah.
So Helping Hand is coming up on our new album Bam. And we're going to begin playing it live, hopefully this coming month.
Right, yeah.
We're going to give it a
Well, that
trial
was part
run.
of the process, so we needed to make the video.
We need to make the video because if you
song,
haven't seen our show,
that's right.
There's a video that coincides every performance. Every song that we play on stage, there's a live video screen that is in sync with our performance, and it's quite fascinating. And thank God for our friend Vic.
That's right. Amazing
who
videographer.
makes all that stuff happen for us.
Genius.
And, a big link in the chain of Team Swansons has been Vic Mendoza and Vic's cover art. And thank you for all that. So we went up to Big Bear, where we shot our Christmas song. The Swansons Christmas song.
That's right, yeah. And we've been getting so much snow because it's wintertime here in Southern California, which, you know, you think Southern California is sunny, but there's mountains. And in those mountain areas, it sure does. We get a lot of snow, and that's where the snowboarders, skiing, and all that. So we've been getting a lot of snow. So we went for the Christmas video, but then we got more snow.
We wanted to take the opportunity, right?
We have to shoot a video in Big Bear. He's like, it just... What did they say? 6 feet or something? It and it melts quick. Yeah. So it's like when it comes, you got to go because it melts within a few days because of the California sun. So.
And what we do, generally speaking, is we find a location. Most of the times, we have a location
in mind,
So we're heading to a destination.
And sometimes
sometimes we don't. Sometimes we're in a car and we just head somewhere.
Yeah, we're just we're gonna go to this park.
So we find places, extraordinary places, all over Southern California. And elsewhere, Nashville, Chicago, Illinois. We've been around a few places, but Vegas as well. So this shoot in Big Bear to bring the snow and all that kind of stuff. We went up there, and so on the way out, we got the car packed with stuff. The guitar and changes of clothing and whatnot. And I saw a little sled thing in the garage.
Yeah.
Thought that would be kind of cute, right, to bring along with us, right? We could somehow fit that into the video, right?
It's a one-person sled, mind you.
It's a one-person sled. It's a really cool thing. That's a little red, one-person sled. You stick your feet in, you hold the rope, and slide down the mountain. So we brought that with us, thinking, we might be able to use that, and we did.
And I think it's for a child too. But we fit the both of us on that sled, which was pretty incredible.
We destroyed it. We left it up there, and then because it got destroyed. And here's how it got destroyed. Let me just jump right to it. So the sled scene, right? There's like, well, we got the sled, and there's this hill here. That just makes sense. Let's do the sled thing.
But I was in a skirt, the Swansons,
were?
and I'm in full outfit, so I was like, let's do it.
So Angie gets in the front. I'm sitting in the back of this thing, right? And my butt is already filling up the whole bucket. You know what I mean? There's barely room for my feet, and you've got to sit in between my legs, and then I've got to get my feet back in, and then we're both in this thing. So we're on a pretty steep hill. I'm not overestimating that this thing was gigantic. It was really, really big. It was scary. And at the bottom of it, there's these two little hump things, right?
Oh, so, people make like these, yeah.
So Vic's at the bottom of the hill. He's got a camera set up in it. He's got all kinds of weird things going on, man. I think a bird was carrying something, you know. But anyway, so he's got a camera in a tree, and he's down below, and he's getting the perfect shot. So down we come, right? And it's really cool. And we're sliding down the hill.
And I even think we caught air on what
it's like, going fast, man. And the only stopping is falling off or putting the
heels,
feet down,
put
right?
your heels in, right? And I'm in boots, mind you. Yeah, not snow
So we
boots.
get a good run
Cowboy
down
boots.
this hill, and Vic gets a great shot. We go bam, you know.
We're like, did you get it? Did you
we
get
had
it?
lots of fun. Yeah, so we review it. And it's like, yeah, man, that's really cool.
He's like,
that's
we're gonna
you know
need
what
to do
we're
it
gonna
again.
because Vic's a thinker, man. He's a thinker and he's a creative guy, you know. And he's like, I think I have a better shot than that shot, or to coincide with that shot. You know, what'd be a good shot? Let me get the drone, right, and follow you guys from behind, right? You getting me? And I'm like, yeah, that sounds cool, Vic. I'm freezing my ass off here, but yeah, okay, all right. So we're okay. We're down for it. We do whatever Vic asks of us.
Yeah, but we find another
right?
hill.
So Vic's, we're buying into Vic's vision, and so down the hill we go, right? So we're going down the hill, man, and we're jamming, right? And the drone's like behind us, like I kind of felt a little bit like Tom Cruise, you know, in one of his action flicks, you know, flying down the hill.
You did. I felt more like Vegas Vacation. I don't
you?
know about you, like National Lampoons. That's what I felt like. And
I was in like Mission Impossible.
Because mind you, like there's trees, dude. So like I was concerned about like, so we had to like steer a little bit. It's like, oh, go a little bit this way, go a little bit,
Yeah,
you know.
but see, like you had the vision before with the rocks, right? In Vegas, we got to follow the vision.
This was your vision.
This is Vic's vision. This is Vic's vision. We're following Vic's vision. So we're heading down this hill, right? We go. It's steeper. There's more danger involved, and down we go. At the bottom of the hill, unbeknownst to Vic, because he's flying the flying contraption behind us, Angie's knees busted open, right? The snow had come up inside the sled, right?
When we got up.
Yeah, and there's a hole in the bottom of the sled, right? And still, Angie and I were good sports, right? We're like high-fiving the bottom of the hill. Man, that was something else, right? We got it, right?
We're
and
like,
then what does Vic say
We're
to
like,
us?
did you get that?
What
And
does Vic say to us? Hey,
goes-
let's try that one more time. I didn't get it. What?
What?
Yeah, we were all about what, Vic? You know? And so I was helping Angie really with every bit of my strength to walk back up the hill in the boots that she was wearing. She's slipping and sliding all over the place. And I wasn't moving my lips, so I was doing this ventriloquist thing. And I had some things that I didn't want Vic to hear. So I just had my teeth kind of close together like that. And I was like, can you believe this so good? We just turned the camera. What is it? So there was a lot of steam I had to blow off before. What did we do? We got back on the sled. We did it again.
Yeah.
We did it again. So that ought to be very, very interesting. So we did the sled bit. We did some dancing around on ice. Almost slipped and fell a few different times. But
Yeah, because it's hard because like when not only because the altitude, it takes your lungs away. So we're trying to get through the song. We are a little winded when we're doing the dance. You know, we're winded.
yes.
But up in Big Bear, I mean, I could not breathe. One take and I'm like,
It was funny to watch Angie because Angie's always very.
winded.
Very, very pretty.
Jumpy and energetic and not here, not for the whole
Well, no,
thing.
you were still, but it was just with a different look on your face, as we got further and further into the song. You were sucking air through your teeth. You know what I mean? You could barely breathe.
Hopefully, Vic's video expertise won't show my struggle, but I was struggling. And I was just like, it did get better. I was a little worried when we first started. I was like, okay, we got to get going. The sun's going down.
Right.
We're in a race for the time, and there's a lot of pressure to get the best shots. And sometimes when you're just starting out, it's like, okay, this isn't it. But then when the day started going and we did the sled and then we found another location.
We did.
We did a bunch of shoots there and then we found another location. It was like, okay, wow, this is working out, like this is going to be a great video,
Yeah, so
But
hopefully it will
tough.
be.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it.
Y'all come out and see us at one of our next shows, and you can hear and see Vic's wonderful work on
the video.
Helping Hand, man.
That's
Helping
right.
Hand is going to be a lot of fun. Adding that to set along with The Outsider and some other videos. What else we got, Ange, for this week in Swansonville? We got a little trivia, don't we? We got a little Swans trivia. I like to, give our audience just a little piece of trivia, maybe some music trivia. How about a little Jim Croce?
We'll talk about Jim Croce. We've talked about him before.
Have we talked about Jim?
We mentioned him because of what happened at the Market Broiler.
Oh, that's right. That spiritual little
but we didn't
coincidence.
give a lot of fun facts about him.
Well,
so
Jim
let's do
Croce,
that.
for those of you who have never heard of him, shame on you. Just kidding. Jim Croce was and is considered one of the most brilliant songwriters
of all time.
Right. He was his life was taken way too early, as a lot of these amazing artists are for some reason or another. He died in a plane crash in 1973,
Right.
and he was really, really just getting started and being recognized for one of his biggest hits, "Time in a Bottle."
Right. That year, just 8 months prior to him passing, was when he was first starting to get, national recognition, And prior to that, 10 years of songwriting. I mean, they started in 63, right? Right. Starting the music
writing,
was
writing,
63,
yeah.
65, 67, all that. But it wasn't until 73 when his songs started getting real airplay, right?
He had his wife Ingrid
Right.
survived his death, and a son that they had together. They performed together as a little folk group before he was successful in his own endeavor,
Right.
Which was kind of cool. And the little piece of trivia that I found sort of fascinating, Jim Croce is from where I'm from, Philadelphia, and if people don't know, I'm from Philly. And one of the pieces of trivia that I found kind of cool was that he was a teacher at a special ed
Right.
school in Pennsylvania, and one of his tools for teaching was his music. And so he would use his music to teach the children, and at some point in time, the school board had complained about him utilizing his musical abilities to teach the children because they had a particular curriculum that they wanted him to follow. And, well, he didn't follow that curriculum and was caught teaching the kids with music again. How dare you? And he was fired from his job.
Right.
So that's the trivia, the Jim Croce trivia. There's so much to find out about this man. Y'all ought to check him out online, YouTube. Jim Croce, one of the best songwriters of all time.
That's
and
right,
that's
yeah.
my trivia for today. Little
Wonderful.
Swanson trivia. We have lots of things coming up in the future, right, Ange? We got a special guest coming up today. And this is our first ever Skype interview.
That's right, yeah.
Right?
We have a guest tuning in all the way from Nashville, Tennessee. Should we give a little intro?
Well, here's the thing, though. I just want to explain to our audience again, with the journey and not the destination. The journey, the Skype journey began, hours ago here in our studio, trying to figure out how we were going to transmit, record the audio to video with the delays and the technology that we're
and we
facing.
had some technical issues.
We had some technical issues.
There always is. There always is. I never stepped into a situation with technology where it just all worked. Do you know that?
Technology.
There's always.
Yes. It's very
an
finicky.
issue.
Very finicky.
Now you can work. It's all about troubleshooting. So you got to troubleshoot. So we got.
It's all
through
about
it.
when you need it. It's just not there for
Yeah,
you.
that's right. I feel that way
You
too.
know?
But instead of getting angry, because that doesn't help, you have to learn how to troubleshoot. So I figured out that we jump on it. Vic, me, we're in it. We're trying to figure out. Okay, let's get the audio working. Let's get this sucker working. And so we did the best we could. So
We did. Everybody did their very best, and we phoned back and forth, and we had some things that we had to stop and pause for. But all in all, it was an awesome time. And well, without any further ado, why don't we introduce our guest, our very special mystery guest
That's right.
for this week, our first ever Skype interview.
Yeah. Multi-platinum mixer.
Multi-platinum mixer, producer, engineer, our friend, Marc Frigo. Please welcome Marc. Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to Swansonville. We are here with our very special guests.
That's right.
Via Skype for the very first time
That's right.
on our podcast.
All the way from Nashville, Tennessee.
Nashville, Tennessee. Please welcome our friend, producer, engineer, platinum mixer, Marc Frigo. How's it going, Marc?
I'm doing well. How you guys doing today?
Oh
Good.
man, we're doing good, Marc. We were talking about what that you come from, well, the same area that Angie comes from,
Illinois.
and Chicago.
And
So,
why don't you tell us exactly where you were born and where you're from and where you grew up?
Sure. I'm originally from the Chicago area. I was born in a south suburb called Blue Island, and at the time we lived right on the south side in an area called Roseland, which is not a great area anymore.
Yeah, Rosewood.
Rosewood?
Yeah.
Roseland.
Okay.
Roseland, yeah.
So,
Roseland.
yeah, so that area, you really don't want to be in that area too much anymore. So we moved to the south suburbs, and I grew up there, but I ended up living in Nashville, 1991, early 91. It's the first time. I've lived here a couple times, but that's a longer story. We don't need to get into all those details.
Right.
But I was going to move to LA, but I ended up here I had some friends that were here, and I came down for a visit and fell in love with the town and ended up staying.
How long did you live in Chicago?
I think I was about 23 when I moved away. So, yeah, I was 23 years old.
So you grew up, you have a lot of roots there in Chicago, Illinois. Your family, I would assume, you went to school there? Where did you go to school?
Yeah. High school, I ended up in a town called Munster, Indiana, which is actually a block and a half from the Illinois border where my house was. And it's still really a Chicago suburb, even though it's Indiana. A lot of my family lived in Lansing, Illinois, which is one town over, right near Cal City. I was near Hammond and Cal City, so I kind of hung out in those areas as a teenager. And then when I went to college, I went to Columbia College downtown Chicago. So I never finished there. I ended up going to Florida and went to a trade school there and finished up there before I ended up here in Nashville.
Angie was just saying that, what was that?
One of my sisters went to Columbia in Chicago.
Yeah?
And she went to many colleges, but I think she finished there at Columbia finally.
Good for her, because I never finished there. The recording program wasn't really good, and I was kind of making this switch at the time. I was taking radio broadcasting, and I was taking kind of the recording stuff on the side, and I just had made a decision that I really wanted to do the recording. I wanted to be part of making the music instead of playing the music on the radio. I wanted to be a part of making it, so I found a school that I thought I was going to get a better education,
And that was in
I saved some money. Pardon?
And that was in Florida?
Yeah, it was called Wholesale. It's still there. It's really expensive now, and it's huge now. It was a lot smaller when I went there.
What was it called, Marc? We didn't catch that.
Wholesale University.
Oh, okay. In Florida. And now with the music part of it, growing up in Chicago, what were your influences there growing up musically?
Well, when I was really young, there was always music playing in the house. My dad played a lot of vinyl, so he was playing bands like Chicago, of course.
Right.
Traffic, band called Traffic, Spencer Davis, Emerson, Lake and Palmer. And then I got an AM radio, and Steely Dan was top 40. So I got into Steely Dan when Reelin' in the Years came out. So I've loved them ever since.
Right.
Got into hair metal in the 80s for a while, right?
Right.
So I did that thing, and I was listening to Led Zeppelin and a lot of rock stuff, really. I mean, my background is listening to mostly rock and kind of that fusion stuff that my dad was listening to when I was young.
Yeah. I think that's great that parents influence their children with their musical tastes, to kind of carry on the music history from generation to generation. you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
I was just going to ask you, while you're talking about music and family, do you have any sports? Are you a fan of any Chicago sports teams?
You know, I love my Chicago teams. I love my Chicago Bears. I'm always going to love them. They're always going to be my team. Football's the main sport, but I love all the Chicago teams, right? I like the Blackhawks. Even though I'm a South Sider, I still like the Cubs on the North Side. I still like the Sox on the South Side. I'm not one of those guys who gets crazy about, I'm from the South Side, I can't like the Cubs.
Right.
I don't play that. They're great. You know, I love seeing those teams do well.
Well, that's great.
Yes, I agree. I feel I was born too on the South Side, and I feel like it was instilled in me, you know, to not like the Cubs, and to not like the Cubs, and to not like the Cubs. Well, I feel like they're such losers that when they made it just this past year to almost a champion, I was rooting for them. I really was.
Yeah.
I was rooting for them. So I feel like as an adult, I feel like, you know, I cheer for both Chicago teams, right? So go for both.
Do you go back and visit your family in Chicago?
I do a bit. I don't always get into the city because nobody lives right in the city anymore. My cousin lives in there, but he usually comes to see us. So I go up and I get close, but we haven't been downtown in a few years, and I'm kind of bummed because none of my family lives right downtown or close enough to make it easy to get in when we go visit anymore. So
I feel you on that one. When we go visit, sometimes we don't even get to see the city because we're stuck in the suburbs, you know, visiting family, and then there's just no time. But so yeah, we got to get back there. It's such a beautiful city, and but we can't wait to get back to Nashville to visit you and to
So coming out of college, then you're looking for a job. I'm making an assumption in music.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that was, so you were very specific with your goals and ideas coming out of college and what you wanted to do.
Yeah, like I said, in my mind, I was going to LA because my influences were all rock, right? And I thought, LA, maybe New York, LA probably for me. I'm a rocker, that's where I'm going. Well, I ended up, when I finished school in Florida, I went back to the Chicago area to kind of regroup, did an internship at a studio there to get my internship out of the way while I was kind of getting ready to move to LA, you know. And in the meantime, some of my friends had moved here to Nashville, and I stayed in touch with them. They were really close friends. And so they said, before you move, come down and visit us here. You know, I'm like, oh, okay. So I looked at the map, and I'm like, it's 7-8 hour drive. Great. I'll just shoot down for a weekend. It'll be fun. Well, I think I was down here during the week because I remember going to a lot of the studios. They had already made some contacts, and everybody was so friendly here. And I thought, there's no way LA is going to be like this.
Right.
It's going to be
you're right on that one.
Throat, right? Yeah. So I already had these connections in the studios here just from like visiting 4 or 5 days, and I'm like, great. This is November of '90 that I came down right before Thanksgiving to visit, and I thought, great, I'm going to move here. So I thought, well, I'll go back up Thanksgiving and Christmas, and then my cousin's getting married in January. Right after my cousin's wedding, I headed back down here with I had a beat up old station wagon, like $250 for cash, dresser in the back with my CDs and boombox. All I came down with, and I crashed at a friend's place for a bit. And within a year, I was working on major label records. It was pretty crazy. I mean, I was just doing side work at the time, like doing like stagehand work, stuff like that. Yeah. And I found a guy who would come hang in his studio on some sessions. And then I got a job at SIR, which is Studio Instrument Rental, and I was a cartage guy. I would deliver all the session players' gear to the studios and set it up. So I found all the cool studios.
Right.
And I was doing that from like 4 p.m. My shift started there. So in the mornings, I would get up earlier and go hand out my resume to all these studios that I found. Well, the one studio where I ended up being on staff is called Woodland Studios. It's in East Nashville. It's privately owned now. It's not a public studio, but I went there and delivered some gear, and I'm like, all right, tomorrow I'll come hand my resume in. And my wife was already working there at the front desk. She was already on staff there. Little did I know, she wasn't. I had no idea who she was. But I came in. She's the first person I met there. When I came back in to hand in my resume, she's the person I handed my resume to. And then, like, within a few days, she's the one who actually called me back and said the owners wanted to interview me. So she was my first connection there. Then we started working together, and then we both started doing a lot of the major sessions there, and ended up becoming good friends before we got married. So that's how that worked out.
That's an amazing story.
Yeah, very cool, very cool. So was she doing the same type of work that you do in the mixing and engineering and stuff?
Yeah, and she actually went to the same school in Florida that I went to, but she beat me there. I was saving money to go there. I was working at the Ford plant on the south side of Chicago to save more money. After I quit Columbia College, I needed more money to go to this school. So I worked at the Ford plant there. In the meantime, she already started at Full Sail, ended up out in LA for like a year and a half at Studio 55 before she ended up here right about, I moved here in January of 91, and she was here maybe May or something like that.
Yeah.
I got that job at Woodland before I found out Woodland even existed. And so then we were both staff engineers there. We were really the only two staff engineers there for a little while before some other people got hired on to pick up some slack because we got really busy.
That's very interesting. Now, did she continue to stay in the same business? Did you go into business together, or do you operate your studio alone?
Well, I wish she would be more involved, but with the kids, we homeschool our kids, so we have a daughter who just turned 17 on Sunday and a son who turned 11 in December, so she's still very involved with their schooling. And when right about the time our daughter was born, she kind of stopped working. She's still working a lot, obviously. We have kids. Anybody?
She took on a different role at home. Yeah.
Exactly.
Wow,
but
that's
so,
awesome.
I try to get her to help me some when I need some help. Like, she's good at some things that I don't really enjoy doing. She enjoys some of the vocal editing and stuff. And I'm like, if I've got vocal editing to do, if she can come in and do that for me, I'd be happy. But it doesn't always work out that way. Yeah. But she doesn't mind doing that. She enjoys it. And I'm like, I don't like this part of the job. Could you just do this? And I'll come in and do the mixing, but it doesn't always work out that way.
Now, you've worked with a number of artists in your career, working with the major labels. Who would be some people that our audience might recognize that you have worked with? Oh, gosh.
The 90s, it was insane. It was kind of this who's who. It was... The first thing I remember working on that I think went pretty big was a Restless Heart record that did really well. And I worked with Bob Seger, the Indigo Girls, Jewel, Patti Loveless, George Jones, Johnny Cash, Keith Urban, Clint Black, Tammy Wynette. The list is pretty crazy because it was non-stop.
Yeah, that's pretty substantial.
And I thought it would never end, Lyle Lovett was in, Vince Gill was in. Some of this stuff were just some short things, Winona, but some of them were really quick, short things where maybe it wasn't their project. They were guests on another project, Yeah. Dolly Parton. It was crazy. And my wife, too. It's just really similar. We crossed over some of the artists we worked with and some people she worked with more. And it was nuts. John
how could you contain your excitement when some of these, we're big fans of Bob Seger.
For me, that was huge because I grew up listening to Bob Seger, right? Everybody knew I'm a rocker. His music was on all the rock stations I was listening to. So that was really special project for me. And but once I got to know Bob, he's like this sort of ordinary guy, except he made millions of dollars at a young age, which is more weird. But he was a great guy. He treated us really well. Every time he'd come, we would work hard, but he'd always take everybody out to dinner, and nobody had to ever pay for dinner. And he took care of us. So it was exciting at first, and it still was, even as it went on. But as you get to know him as a person, you just realize we're all just people. He just happens to have made some really killer records.
Isn't that the truth at the end of the day? you know?
Yeah.
We're all just people, you know? But still, Bob Seger's a pretty cool person.
Yeah, he's still out there doing it, and he still can sing the way he used to. It's like, what, 70 something?
Yeah, we went and saw him.
It's
when was
crazy.
It was when we first started dating. Bob Seger was one of our first concerts that we enjoyed right before I told Joe I'd be his girlfriend.
Yeah, that's
awesome.
right. And he was running back and forth each side of the stage, you know, putting his foot on the monitor, and, you know.
He was
just rocking
electric,
it.
yeah.
His voice was magnificent, man. So
He's
powerful.
still got that power. Yeah, absolutely.
You
it's
know?
crazy how
Still
he
to
can
this
still
day.
pull it off. Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's going back to like the late 60s, you know. And so that's
astonishing
a long
the staying power of some people like him. The Stones,
Yeah.
I know you know these guys, just incredible the things they do.
Right.
You've worked with some major labels, but when did you basically create your own home studio? I see here now you work your own now, and when did that kind of transpire?
Yeah. So I'll try to keep this brief, but I quit music for a while at the end of the 90s. So at the end of the 90s, the whole industry was changing, right? The major labels weren't signing as many artists. So for a guy like me who'd been doing it maybe 10 years, it was a real struggle to keep busy. I started doing a lot of publishing demos and smaller independent projects at that time. And my wife and I wanted to start a family, and we're both in this crazy business where we have no idea what our income's going to be from month to month. So I thought, I got to grow up and get a real job. So I started doing IT work, right? Computer stuff. And I got like these Microsoft certifications. Got a job offer and moved to New Jersey for this job. So I lived there for 2 years, but within 6 months, I knew I wanted to do music again. You know, I was like, all right, this sucks. I got to go back and do my passion. This is not working for me. And so I was going to try to tie into New York, but it was so expensive there. I just couldn't save enough money. So we were going to move back here at that time when our daughter was born. She was born about a year and a half after we moved to New Jersey. She was born in 2002. And so what happened is my wife's mom got sick with cancer at that time. We ended up moving to central Pennsylvania, where Penn State University is, State College. And I'm like, this isn't a great place to be for music, but I'm going to build a studio anyway. So I built a studio there and got back into music full time. Well, I was working full time at Penn State doing IT work, building the studio at night, you know, when I came home in our house, and I transitioned back into music full time there. And then eventually I'm like, we got to get back to Nashville, you know, because I kept trying to tie back in down here. And I'm like, even though you can do things remotely now, they want you to be in town. So I just said, we got to move back to Nashville, you know, before the kids get too much older and, you know, they don't want to move at all. They didn't really want to move because some of their cousins are there and, you know. Yeah. But so we moved back here and this building that you guys visited, this was already here. I think maybe I told you this. It was already here. The guy that owned the house before me was a songwriter, and he used this as his songwriting room out behind his house. Right. And so I just moved my gear in and did some acoustic treatment and set it up as a mix room. And so I work out of here mostly, and if I cut tracks, I just book other rooms and tie in with people like Bill if I need stuff, you know. So
and we didn't mention the fact, I don't believe we did, that you worked on our album, our first country album, Country This.
Yes.
And with songs such as Move Forward, which was, you know, a very big song for us in a lot of different ways. And thank you for that. You do wonderful work. I see that you also you have an online service that you provide so that you can service musicians, songwriters, people playing music and recording music all over the world. So how does that work?
Well, in this day and age with the internet, I usually people will find me they'll find me through my website, or I also work through a site called soundbetter.com that I get a lot of work from there, and jobs are posted. I can bid on them, or people can find me directly there. And what happens is they send me, you know, if they like me and they want to work with me, I just make sure we communicate really well on the front end. It's so key. When you can't have people here in person, you know, like I'm mixing an album for an artist in Japan right now, and there's actually a language barrier there too, so that's a little difficult. So we have to go back and forth a good bit, and I have to make sure I know exactly what she wants before I start mixing the song. So I have a checklist of questions that I ask right off the bat. Here's the initial list. I get the answers back. I look them over, and if there's any clarification I need, I clarify, and they send me the tracks. I work up an initial mix and send it off to them, and they give me feedback, and then we just go back and forth with a few revisions and get a killer mix.
Wow, that's amazing. Technology today. I was going to say, one of the great things that about, your business and your website, platinummixer.com, is your testimonials. You have wonderful, wonderful people saying great work about you and all your work you've done, and that's just a great thing to have.
Yeah, it really is. It helps a lot if people can trust the work you do from people maybe that they have heard of, at least. That can be very, very helpful.
It's helped us in our careers. You have to sift through so many people sort of doing the same thing in this business at different levels, and it's nice to have those testimonials of people that have gone so far as to give you that feedback, which you've got a lot of it for the work that you do. Speaking of the work that you do, let's get into that a little bit. I don't know that our audience or that most people generally know how critically important the mixing is for any recording. And you can literally make or break a song. So what do you how do you arrive at what you're going to do with any particular artist? How does your job normally work when you receive something and put your headphones on?
Yeah, so like I said, it starts with a lot of communication up front. So I'm really trying to get inside the artist's head and get an understanding of their vision. And that includes me asking, like, hey, if there are other songs or artists that have the kind of sound or the vibe you're going for, let me know, and I can reference those songs, so that I know, if I have a target, I know what I'm aiming for. And some artists don't have that. They're just like, you know what, I like your work. I want to see what you come up with, and see what you do. But it's all about the emotion of the song, too. So I'm trying to dig in and find out, what does this song make me feel like, and how can I draw that emotion out in the mix? I really want to be able to close my eyes and really feel the music. And that's when I know the mix is done. When I can really, really feel it, and it's coming across, and I think that I'm getting what that artist is trying to convey through their performance, through the lyrics, then I know this mix is either done or really close. Obviously, the artist is probably going to want a few things tweaked and changed, but that's when I know I've got something that's ready to send to the artist.
Right, so you're clarifying the interpretation, and you're feeling that emotionally, and then transferring that into your final product with the song.
Yes, absolutely.
Now with an album, do you take that on as an entire project, or do you use that on a song by song basis if it's for a specific artist? How do you work that? Do you try to get a feel for the entire project, or do you still work it song by song?
Yeah, it really varies, because sometimes, artists will feed me one song at a time, Maybe if they've got rough mixes of the whole thing at the beginning, that's great. Then I can see what the whole project is about. But sometimes I don't have that leisure. Sometimes, like this artist in Japan, she's finishing up songs and I'm mixing them as we go. So I'm getting one song at a time. I had already mixed a couple singles for her before this project, so I kind of knew generally her style, but some of the songs also step outside of that. Like if you've got a ballad or something and most of your songs are rock, that ballad obviously is going to have a different vibe. So you just have to, sometimes you just have to wing it and make it all piece together. But usually I find it's not an issue. Usually each song can kind of stand on its own and weave together as an album project, as long as you're kind of keeping that in mind as you move forward.
Right.
And I was going to ask you is who or what artists out there, like, would you say influence you as far as, like, who's your favorite artist out there of all time? Oh,
man, that is so hard. And, I I was a huge Stevie Ray Vaughan. Still am. I say was because unfortunately he passed away. But Stevie Ray Vaughan was one of those artists that when I finished school in 1990, I was out of school for like 2 weeks before he passed away. And it was one of my goals to work with him, right? And so, like, that's never going to happen, you know? But I think, and it's not just Stevie Ray, but that's one that comes to mind because of the significance there and the timing of his death with the beginning of my career, you know?
Right.
So that kind of strikes me. I think about that often. And I almost went to his last show, and I decided not to because I just finished school. I didn't have tickets. I was going to have to buy scalp seats.
Right.
A bunch of my friends went, and before we knew he passed away, we were talking the next day, and they're like, oh my goodness, Stevie Ray put on the best show I've ever seen him put on, you know? And then we find out a couple hours later that his helicopter crashed and he passed away. And so that was kind of, it hit me pretty hard. But beyond Stevie Ray, you know, I could go back to some of these bands like Led Zeppelin, the Beatles. Beatles because of the recording technique, you know. Jeff Emmerich was an amazing engineer who did a lot of innovative things with the Beatles. So that has an effect on me as you look into what he did to get some of the sounds that nobody else was doing at that time. Pink Floyd, the Dark Side of the Moon album with Alan Parsons, another incredibly innovative record that just it's historic because of what they did. The fact that they almost scrapped it a few times because of the difficulty of what they were trying to do with the technology they had at the time. You know, now I've got Pro Tools sitting right behind me, and I can do all this stuff very quickly and easily that took probably hours and days on end when they made these records, you know?
What about a particular album that sort of maybe blew your mind, you know what I mean? That one album that came out that you're like, okay, this is it for me. So far as the mixing, you know what I mean? Where you heard sounds and you heard things and really stimulated your senses so far as your career path.
I would say some of Bob Clearmountain's mixes. I don't know if a lot of people know who. All of us mix engineers know who Bob Clearmountain is because I think he's had an effect on most of us. But when I first got into the industry and I was trying to, you know, learn how to record and mix, you start out as an assistant engineer. So at this stage of my career, I'm still trying to figure out what sounds good, you know, no less how to make things sound good, you know. So at this point in my career, some of those records that I was hearing in those days, a band called Jellyfish is one. If you go back into the early 90s and listen to those Jellyfish albums, one was called Belly Button, one was called Spilt Milk. A guy named Jack Joseph Quick did those albums. But then the Bob Clearmountain stuff, a band called Delamitri, Twisted, an album called Twisted, amazing sounding record. And then another record he mixed by Collective Soul, self-titled Collective Soul album. Those albums kind of were the ones that really hit me, and I went, these sound amazing. How do I do that? You know, kind of things. And some of the engineers I was working with too, on records that I was working on, some of those records just became wow. Like some of the Indigo Girls stuff that I worked on early as an assistant engineer and then later as an engineer. But my mentor David Leonard, you know, he was doing records that I just like. How are you I'm sitting there like trying to hang on everything he's doing and just absorb it. And like, how are you making it sound like this? I don't know how to do that, and I need to figure that out. You know? But that's when you're an assistant apprentice. He started out that way, and his mentor was a guy named Roberto Gatica. You know, so it goes on, and there's this list of amazing engineers that you during those days you would pass down those skills. It's much less common now with the way the industry is to get an apprenticeship and get to assist some of these amazing engineers, but it's still out there. It's not as common, unfortunately.
What a benefit to you and to anybody that receives that type of help from somebody. Now you mentioned a couple of different people there. Was there anybody in particular in your life that inspired you, or that helped lift you up along the way?
Yeah, sure. I mean, just people believe in me. Obviously, my wife is somebody who believed in me, you know, but it's people who taught me like I said, a guy named David Leonard. David he'd worked with Prince a good bit. He worked on the Total 4 album. He worked with Tina Turner. He was on tour with Chick Corea when he was young, David is one of the guys who I really learned a lot from. Another engineer here in town I worked with a good bit named Steve Marcantonio. Interesting name, right? Italian guy. But Steve was great. He came out of Jersey, and he was working with John Lennon like the day he died, So
Wow.
These guys are the guys that I came up under and taught me, and I don't even know that I realized it as much at the time. It's something as you get older, you appreciate more. You look back and think, how would I have ever figured out how to do any of this? I remember them teaching me very specific techniques that are pretty commonly used, but I didn't know that at the time, I'd gone to school and I learned a lot. I learned how to use the gear, but I knew I wasn't great at recording and mixing yet. I knew I needed to, I need to learn. Now I need to go be an assistant engineer and learn from some of these amazing engineers. And fortunately, I was at a studio where I was able to do that. I worked with many major, wonderful engineers and producers over the years that I got to glean from,
Now, how are you affected by, what you know and you've done what you've done, so, we all sort of get in our comfort zone. How are you affected by technology in such a fast-moving industry?
Yeah, I think I sort of resisted at first, I liked working on tape. I knew how to align the analog tape machine. I knew what it did. I knew its benefits. I knew its limitations. So when the computer stuff came out, I'm like, I don't know if I want to do this. But then, like I said, when I quit music, I started doing IT work. So of course I had to embrace computers more there. So that maybe, interestingly, the thing that I did that I kind of didn't want to do kind of helped me with the technology, because at that point when I decided to build my own studio, I knew it was going to be a Pro Tools-based studio because it was affordable. I couldn't afford to buy an analog tape machine and all this gear, but I could afford a computer and an interface and some plugins, and some mics, and I built my studio that way. So now I embrace it. Now I haven't done much in the analog world in years. Every now and then, dabble in analog. But here in my own studio, I'm in Pro Tools, and I love it because I can pull up a mix. Somebody can email me and say, I want this mix changed, and within 5 minutes, the mix is back. There's no 2 hours, 3 hours of trying to recall the mix like there was in the old days when I was working with Bob Seger. I remember recalling mixes and writing. You have to write all your notes. So for me, the technology, I think, it's a great thing. I love it now. As much as I resisted at first, now I can't imagine doing this without it, especially the way it worked.
Yeah, I was also a resistor, just like you know what I mean? And she keeps just pushing me further and further into this technology, and I keep saying, no more, But she's great at it, and she takes care of all our technological things that are involved in our group and
our live show, yeah.
Our live shows and any other things that all this stuff here. But that's pretty cool.
Yeah. I was gonna say that. So basically, what's great with technology is that gives you that ability to work with people all over the world. So expand your clientele. It's not just people that have to come to Nashville. So that's so great.
Exactly, it is. And I like that balance. It's great to be involved in Nashville, this community here. There's amazing people here, but being able to branch off outside of that, and people seem excited to work with somebody who's Nashville-based as well. They like that. And of course, we have the resources. You could get Brett Mason to play on your record, right?
Yeah.
And, so we can make those things happen easily here, and those are wonderful things. These guys are incredibly talented.
Sure, you have amazing resources at your fingertips everywhere in Nashville.
Yeah, for sure.
So you're planning on staying in Nashville, I'm assuming, at least for a while?
Yeah, I don't have any plans of moving. And, days like today when it gets cold, I think Southern California might be great, but I think that's not really going to happen. So,
what kind of exciting stuff are you working on right now? Any Nashville projects that are going to be popping or
for 2019?
Trying to think, what do I got going on that's inside Nashville? Oh, my friend Cassandra, a girl named Cassandra Sotos, fiddle player. She's really, really talented. And she's got a single coming out that I'm going to be mixing probably. I don't know that I'm going to get to start it this week, probably next week. So that one I'm excited about. She's kind of got this rockin' country vibe, great fiddle player, and her vocals are great now too. So that's an exciting, Nashville-based thing. Most other stuff, I think right now, I think most of the projects I'm in the midst of are remote right now. I'm mixing a pop song today. I don't even know where this guy is, actually. I didn't ask him where he's from, but he's not here. I can't remember. I might know, but I can't quite remember where he's from right now. But it's a cool pop song with it's like 108 tracks of stuff he sent me. So it's a lot of organizational stuff to get that mix up and running,
So I was just going to ask you, because you told us you have a daughter and a son, and that you do the homeschooling, and with two parents that are I'd have to say you guys are both mixers into the music industry and whatnot. Even though she decided to take that stay-at-home mom and kind of school them at home, what do you guys kind of do music? How does that are you guys you're there in Nashville, so is that something you'd like to see your children go into, or?
Yeah, I would love it, and they're both incredibly musical. I think they're way more musically talented than I am, and they both sing really well. And my daughter, right now, actually today, they are at a homeschool music group all day, every Tuesday. They go to this thing called Nashville Notes. It's a bunch of homeschool kids, and they have an orchestra, a choir, a jazz band, some a cappella groups, and I don't know what else. They've always got new things every semester. I'm like, well, what am I going to see in the concert this semester? I can't remember what the kids are involved in until they get to the concert. So, and my daughter sings in the choir a lot. She's playing cello. She's not in that orchestra. She's got another orchestra she's playing cello in. She plays flute in a band. She's playing bass guitar. She's playing piano, and she sings. And she's playing ukulele now, too. She got a nice ukulele, so she likes that. My son sings and plays trumpet. He doesn't seem to be into the trumpet too much, but he started taking piano lessons, and he's loving that. So he'll be playing the piano in our back room of our house where we've got the piano.
That's great.
He wants to go in there and play that. And we just got him a keyboard, and he was really excited. Got him a keyboard for his birthday, and he was super excited about that. So they seem to be. Now my son's too young to know if he's really going to pursue it, but my daughter definitely wants to pursue music and theater and entertainment industry type stuff. So those are her passions.
And what do you like to do outside of the studio there around Nashville? Do you have any hobbies?
Oh gosh, pardon?
Do you have any hobbies? Any sports you like to play? Like the ball?
I like
throw darts?
I like to exercise. I like to get out and ride my bike, but sometimes it's like now the weather's too cold, and sometimes it's too hot. So I like biking. We have some nice trails around here to do that, and I like to lift weights. Although I just had shoulder surgery not too long ago, so I'm not back to full capacity there yet.
Yeah. But
those are some of the hobbies I like, and then I just like to. It's fun to take the kids to fun music things, and go to their music events. So those have become my hobbies, obviously, because they're so involved in that. And then my kids they play sports. My son's basketball season is happening now, so we've got his games on Saturdays. And then they both play soccer in the spring and fall.
Well,
so that takes up
busy.
a lot of time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
your hobbies are your children. So, right?
By and large,
my hobbies
that's
are my
a
children.
big part of it.
Yeah.
I try to get out to music industry related things too, but I try to focus and go to the ones that I really want to go to this event, or this event, but I can't go out every night. I want to be home with the family as much as I can be. So,
are there any bands that you go and see as a family, or have seen in concert as a family?
Well, I'm about to take my daughter to see a band called Switchfoot. I don't know if you know that band. They're from San Diego.
Yes.
I love that band, and I got my daughter, like I said, she's 17 now, and I started listening to this band when she was really young, so she's seen them several times with me before at some festivals and stuff, and she wanted to go to this concert. They're playing the Ryman, which, of course...
Oh, beautiful.
What a great venue, right?
Yeah.
So she wanted to go, and we just surprised her with the tickets on her birthday the other day, so I'm taking her to that, so I'm really excited to see Switchfoot at the Ryman. We haven't seen them in years live, so I'm really excited about that.
That should be a lot of
Awesome.
fun. Yeah. And now, what about country bands being in Nashville? Are there any that you currently enjoy listening to?
Some of the country artists, I like some. Like I think I mentioned Dave Cobb earlier. He's a producer. Dave is producing Chris Stapleton, a guy named
Chris
Anderson
Stapleton.
East. Anderson East isn't really country. I don't know, but Dave does a lot of the stuff that really gets in the Americana realm,
Right.
Jason Isbell, and so these are the artists that I feel this connection to for some reason, and I think it has a lot to do with the way Dave produces too. These records, they have this very cool organic vibe, and they have a lot of emotion, and they're not the mainstream Nashville country, which you guys aren't really that either. You've got this cool blend and fusion of things that I really like. So I tend to like bands that are doing that, but sort of stepping outside. Erin Morris kind of is too. I mean, she's even gone into pop, but even the song "The Church," that was when that came out. I'm like, who is this? This is a great song that has
Really
a different feel to it. So I tend to latch onto those things that maybe don't fit right into the Nashville mold, but are still kind of coming out of here,
Okay, I was kind of fishing for the Swansons. And that's cool. I was waiting. No, go ahead. Just have yourself time.
Obviously, the Swansons.
Okay.
I mean, you guys aren't really here, but like I was saying, you guys have this great fusion of things. So that's what I like about you guys, because as I'm working on the project, I'm like, I'm vibing off of some Nashville influences to put this record, to get the sound out of it. But it's also not exactly that,
No, definitely not.
You're doing something that pulls into Nashville, but I don't know. You've got.
It pulls into Nashville, but it doesn't park there.
There you go. That's a great way to put it.
Yeah. So, well, man, we've been very, very happy to have you on board with Country This, and we've got a new album that we just finished. Actually, we're going beyond that. We're on album number 3 out in Nashville. We've got 3 songs into that. We're working on an album called Bam, which we told you about when we went to visit.
You guys are nonstop.
Yeah, so you should have songs from that album coming your way, and we can't wait to hear those. And we love what you do. You have mentioned it, but for our fans and anybody watching our podcast, where would they be able to get a hold of you? Should they need your services in the mixing and producing and engineering area?
Sure. You can go to platinummixer.com. That's my website, kind of a branding thing that I've done there, and you can find me there, platinummixer.com.
Awesome.
Real easy to find.
Platinummixer.com. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say thank you so much.
Yeah, we appreciate it,
thank you guys.
And so... Man, we're just wishing you the best in everything that you do. We look forward to seeing you again when we come to Nashville, which will be very soon.
Sooner the better.
Yeah.
And congratulations on all your success and all your hard work. It really has paid off. And we just can't wait to see you again there in Nashville pretty soon.
Yeah.
Ladies and
gentlemen.
gentlemen.
I'm looking forward to seeing you guys, and I'm so looking forward to hearing these songs. I've been communicating with Bill a little bit, and and I know he's made it clear that you're really good. You're really making sure that everything is there. So I'm kind of excited.
Yeah, man, we're so thrilled about this. Yeah, we're going nuts over it. We can't wait to hear the final product.
I'm really excited to hear what you got going and dig into it. It's going to be fun.
Well, thank you, Mark, and welcome to Swansonville. We appreciate you, and hope to see you very soon.
Yeah, thank you for your time.
Thank you for your time. Peace. God bless.
Likewise, guys.
Thank you,
Blessings. Take care.
Hey, y'all. Welcome back to Swansonville. Thank you so much. Marc Frigo, man. That was an awesome interview. Hope y'all enjoyed it.
That's right.
Fascinating
We
man.
sure did. Yeah, I love learning about new people and where they came from and their journey through the music industry.
That's right. If anybody out there is interested now that we're doing Skype interviews and you have an interesting story to tell, get a hold of us, man, and then we'll consider having you on the podcast.
That's
Love
right.
to talk with you. We're going to close the show. We normally play a little something that we're working on or something that we've recorded, you know.
Past, present, or future.
Past, present, future. We have so many different songs that we've you know, from our previous albums. Here's something off our album coming up after Bam! Right? We're working on album 3, our third country album, which is already underway. And so, well, we're going to give you a little sneak preview of a song from that album that we're working on.
That we're working on. It's brand new, and it won't ever be coming out until 2020.
So like 2020.
And it's called
I Don't Want to Wait.
I Don't Want to Wait.
I don't want to wait for 2020, man. I'm ready to get this song out now. Let's take it from the pre-chorus. I could not accept the things that I could not change. It seemed like the second hand was calling my name. I don't want to wait for tomorrow. No, I don't want to wait for someday. No way, I won't. I don't want to wait, but today I had a little breakdown and I think I'm good to wait now. I had a little breakdown and I think I'm good to wait now. I had a little breakdown and I think I'm good to wait now. I had a little breakdown and I think I'm good to wait now. I am. Yeah. Very good, Ange. Yeah, that's I Don't Want to Wait, coming on Swanson's 3, Untitled still.
That's right.
Yeah, so great having y'all back in Swansonville. We appreciate all of our listeners and viewers. You can catch us on iTunes, Podbean, YouTube, theswansonsmusic.com.
That's right. And the best way to just connect with it all is right at theswansonsmusic.com.
That's right. I love you, Ange.
I love you, Joe. And we love you.
Thanks, y'all. Welcome to Swansonville.
Peace.
Peace out. God bless.